Kikoru Shimoniya used her strength to move the car, and Kafka Hibino used his kaiju powers to hoist it. Kikoru Shimoniya was shocked to see that and believed Kafka Hibino also had strange abilities. Ichikawa Reno reminded Kafka Hibino not to use his kaiju strength again and reprimanded him for doing so as they got ready to enter the Defense Force building. Just as they were ready to enter, Kafka Hibino seized this final opportunity to stand by Minas Ashiro and never give up again. The second stage of the exams has two parts, a fitness test and an aptitude test. Kafka and Ichikawa wanted to get the best grades they could in the fitness test, so they decided to put in their best in the drilling activities. But unfortunately, Kafka scored 219 out of 225. Kikoru came to him and made jest of him. Ichikawa asked if he used his kaiju power. Kafka knew it wouldn't be fair to use his kaiju power because applicants in the training put so much effort to be here. Vice Captain Hashino tabled the file of the applicants on Captain Minas Ashiro's table. He explained to her those who he had eyes on, capable of being an officer in the Defense Force. Haruichi Izumo, who graduated top of his class from Tokyo Neutralization University. Iharu Furuhashi, a powerhouse, who valedictorian at Hachioji Neutralization Technical College. Aoi Kaguragi, the rising star of the Japan Ground Self-Defense Force, who turned down a sure spot in the JGSDF elite to come to the Defense Force. There were also more applicants from neutralization universities and colleges than most years who would be trying to become elite officers and not field agents. Kikoru Shimoniya graduated from California Neutralization at age 16, skipped grades and became the youngest ever to do so. The rest of her colleagues were jealous of her, and she came to meet Kafka Hibino and asked if he had finally figured out how awesome she was. Kafka Hibino came close to her to commend her on how amazing she was. And immediately, he was punched on his face by Kikoru's bodyguard, and she left. Kafka Hibino felt he was screwed up, but Ichikawa gave him hope regarding the second part of the test, which has been the disposal of Kaiju's corpse for the last 2 years. The test is used to test knowledge of Kaiju and their ability to work in a group. It also makes sure applicants realize that there's more to the job than just killing Kaiju, which was why Ichikawa Reno chose to work in the disposal for his part-time job. Kafka Hibino was excited to hear that since it was his line of profession, Ichikawa and Kafka decided to do it together. They got to the Defense Force training area too. The 3rd Division Vice Captain Soshiro Hoshina, who was also the head of the second stage exam committee, introduced himself to the examinees. He explained how they would go about with their aptitude test. The examinees' task in the area was to find Kaiju and neutralize them. Kafka Hibino got scared when he saw a Kaiju coming towards him. He was the only one who fell to the ground amidst the examinees. Kikoru Shimoniya saw him, and she busted into laughter. Soshiro Hoshina knew they could not send them in empty-handed. They were provided with a Defense Force Kaiju combat suit made from organic material taken from Kaiju, and massively multiplied the combat power of its wearer. Konomi Okanogi, the 3rd Division operator, started measuring the unleashed combat power of the ones who had their suits on. Ichikawa Reno had 8%, Haruichi Izumo had 18%, Aoi Kaguragi had 15%, Ihura Furuhashi had 14%, Kikoru Shimoniya had 46%, while Kafka Hibino had 0%. Soshiro Hoshina found it funny because he has never seen a 0 before. Kikoru Shimoniya expected Kafka Hibino to showcase the power he showed at the park. The final test was about to commence. Soshiro Hoshina explained the test to the examinees, and they all commenced the test. Just when they started the test, Kikoru already killed 2 Yoju. Kafka Hibino was left behind. He found it difficult to move. The weapon with him was heavy for him to lift. Soshiro Hoshina informed the examinees about the presence of Minas Ashiro immediately. Kafka Hibino heard the information. He buckled up because he wouldn't want to embarrass himself. He asked Ichikawa Reno why the defense officer was following them with drones. Ichikawa Reno told him the drone is used to know how many Kaiju they killed. Kafka Hibino felt they were testing their abilities. Kafka Hibino and Ichikawa Reno decided to support the attackers as best as they could. Kafka supported one of the examinees to defeat a kaiju. As the kaiju continued their relentless advance, Kafka found himself suddenly under attack, his body bearing the brunt of the assault. Konomi Okonogi, ever vigilant, detected alarming irregularities in Kafka's vital signs, rendering him unable to continue the fight. Despite the looming threat, Kafka refused to succumb, his determination fueled by the knowledge that Minas Ashiro was observing his every move. Struggling to rise despite his injuries, Kafka prepared to defend himself, his resolve unyielding. However, his efforts seemed futile until the timely intervention of Kikoru, who swiftly dispatched the attacking kaiju before proceeding to engage others in battle. Though momentarily relieved by her intervention, Kafka's injuries weighed heavily upon him, his broken leg a stark reminder of his vulnerability. Amidst the chaos, Soshiro Hoshina's voice pierced through the commotion, urging Kafka to abandon the fight due to the severity of his injuries. However, Kafka's spirit remained unbroken, his refusal to concede driven by an unwavering determination to persevere. In a surprising turn of events, Kafka's latent combat prowess surged, a mere fraction of a percentage, but enough to embolden him. With newfound resolve, Kafka defied the odds, rising to his feet despite the pain and uncertainty. Driven by a singular purpose, he embraced the risk, fully committed to pursuing his dreams regardless of the obstacles in his path. In that moment, Kafka Hibino vowed not to surrender, his unwavering resolve a testament to his indomitable spirit. Kafka Hibino told Ichikawa Reno not to worry about him, but Ichikawa Reno wanted to back him up. He then carried Kafka Hibino on his shoulder and continued their task. Soshiro Hoshina watched them from the operating room. He laughed hard at them, while Ichikawa Reno and Kafka Hibino combined their power. They moved on to support others to kill the kaiju. Kikoru already killed the kaiju before they got there. Konomi Okonogi detected that Kikoru had taken down the last Yoju in Area Delta. The final stage of the exam was completed. All drones were recovered back. Kafka Hibino's, angry because Kikoru Shimoniya was too fast to defeat all the kaiju. When Minas Ashiro stated that Kikoru Shimoniya was even more powerful than the rumors said, Vice Captain Soshiro Hoshina became lost in thought. When Konami said they needed to send doctors for the injured and the defense officer brought back the drones, Soshiro Hoshina was startled that Kikoru Shimoniya would be enough to get her attention. Soshiro Hoshina had projected that 30 people would leave, but regrettably, Kikoru Shimoniya caused none of them to withdraw, and those who did leave all had just minor wounds. Soshiro Hoshina had not expected anything less from the daughter of Director Shinomiya. He believed she would become an important member of the military and a symbol of optimism for the country. Kikoru Shimoniya told her father how happy she was with herself. She was stabbed in the back just as she was ready to go, and the dead kaiju came back to life. Kikoru Shimoniya was almost invisible, since she was able to protect her heart by focusing her entire shield in one area. She thought she could still fight. She was puzzled about what it was before realizing it was a clever kaiju. Kikiro made an effort to defend herself, but the cunning kaiju retaliated, knocking Kikiro to the ground, weak. The 3rd Division operator, Konomi Okonogi, noticed something strange about Kikiro's vitals. Although she was unsure of the cause, she was able to receive live transmissions from the kaiju that the examinees had already dispatched. The estimated fortitude of the resurrected Honju was 6.4, meaning that the entire corporation was required to handle its growing power. The kaiju shouldn't be able to come back to life in such a manner. Minas Ashiro gave the order to send back several drones, activate remote shielding for each examinee, and obtain a camera feed. Soshiro Hoshina and Minas Ashiro left. The examinees were told to head for the nearest shelter right away. Kikoru refused to go, claiming that if the kaiju were not stopped right now, many people would be killed. When she attempted to fight the kaiju once more, it threw her away. But Kikoru Shimoniya refused to give up. She recalled how her father had always been proud of her and had pushed her to constantly strive for perfection for the good of the country and her late mother. She also recalled how she used to be the class leader and how her name was always at the top. Recalling all her father had said, Kikoru Shimoniya got back up. Konomi Okanogi sensed that the Honju's offensive uni organ had replenished its condensing energy in preparation for an assault. As Kikoru Shimoniya grew weaker and felt defeated, she apologized to her father and told him that she couldn't be flawless. Just as the Honju was ready to attack, Kafka Hibino appeared to save Kikoru Shimoniya and changed into a kaiju. There was an explosion in the area. The examinees were told to get asses into the shelter. Ichikawa Reno could not find Kafka. He knew he would have transformed into a kaiju. Kikoru Shimoniya watched Kafka Hibino defeat the kaiju, and she wondered who exactly Kafka Hibino was. Kafka Hibino was excited Kikoru Shimoniya was safe. Ichikawa Reno appeared at the scene, hit Kafka Hibino with his head. He scolded him for transforming into kaiju. He cautioned Kafka Hibinoto to use caution since he might be slain by the defending forces upon discovering him. As soon as Soshiro Hoshina and Minas Ashiro came, Kikoru Shimoniya passed out on the ground. Kafka, Kikoru Shimoniya, and Ichikawa Reno had already reached shelter number 6. All of the examinees were now identified. The defensive officers were confused by the kaiju's reappearance and the ensuing blast zone. Minas Ashiro took command and called in both an investigation unit and a disposal unit after realizing the necessity of a comprehensive probe. They had 2 goals in mind: to understand the strange happenings in front of them and to eliminate any last Yoju threats. Soshiro Hoshina felt that the circumstances were uncannily similar to a vision he had seen 3 months earlier, which raised concerns about possible links between the 2 instances. Meanwhile, Kafka Hibino and Kikoru Shimoniya found themselves hospitalized, receiving the necessary medical attention. Grateful for the unwavering support of Ichikawa Reno, Kafka Hibino found solace amidst the chaos. However, their respite was short-lived when Minas Ashiro unexpectedly appeared at the hospital, surprising both Kafka Hibino and Kikoru Shimoniya. Her presence was unexpected, yet her purpose became clear as she expressed gratitude for their aid in assisting Kikoru Shimoniya. As Soshiro Hoshina visited Kikoru Shimoniya, expressing his gratitude for her valiant efforts in defeating the Honju, Kikoru Shimoniya revealed a deeper truth she had only managed to defeat. The aftermath of the incident reverberated far beyond the confines of the defense force, captivating the attention of the public. News outlets buzzed with reports detailing the incident which happened after the defense force examination, revealing the startling revelation that the intelligent kaiju responsible for attacking Kikoru Shimoniya was one of the members of the disposal unit.